Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Chill with Jim episode where it's always business up top and pajamas at the bottom. I am your host, Jim McCarthy. I am the client advocate for Strix, Louisiana. My job is to make sure that our clients are set up with the best equipment, software, and IT solutions to help make sure that their businesses are running at optimal efficiency. We also have David DeArmond on the line with us.
Hello. I am David DeArmond. I am the owner of Strix LA, and so welcome everybody.
And Candace DeArmond is on with us as well.
Hello, everybody.
At Strix, Louisiana, we are constantly, we believe that there's always a better, simpler way. So we're always searching and adapting our IT solutions to make sure that we have the best solution in place. Some of this responsibility we feel is about educating our clients as well as others on the current resources that they have in place, as well as other IT trends or security threats that are happening in the world today. So that's really why we designed this Chill with Jim session. We are going to just kind of bring this as an educational moment to all that join us and all that attend. I'd like to welcome Lori and Carlene. Thanks for joining us. I just saw you guys pop up. So today our topic is the dark web, but it also is about password management. Password management in the sense that there's actually an application you can get that will help you with the passwords that you use daily. So that way you can make strong, secure passwords without having to remember every single one of them for every single site you use, application you use, or wherever you log in. And we actually have a PowerPoint that we're going to go over that kind of highlights some of these. All right, first of all, password tip number 1. We all know that recycling is a good thing, and I highly recommend that we all recycle. But reusing passwords is bad. To help us remember, a lot of us will reuse a password that we use over and over. Well, but we might change a thing up here and there. We might put a capital at the beginning, add a number to the end, but this is still a big no-no in the world of passwords. We want to make sure that they're random, that they're not the same. So this is a big no-no. You want your password to include numbers, symbols, and uppercase and lowercase letters. So here's an example of a random password that uses all of those. Basically, the way that they crack passwords is they it's kind of like a safe combination where they're gonna just guess every letter, every number, every syllable. The more complex you make it, the harder it is for the bad guys to get in. You want to make your passwords long, like the neck of the giraffe. Longer passwords, again, they add complexity to your password, which makes it harder for the bad guys to break. I know it makes it harder to remember, but that's why we're talking about password managers, because they will help you so you don't have to remember. A good way to help you, if you do want to remember it, or there's a good way to kind of some tips which you can use to help make these passwords strong and yet rememberable. You can make up a nonsense phrase. The nonsense phrase, could be 5 or 6 words long, but it's something that you make up in your head that helps you remember it. It's still long enough where it's going to be very hard to crack, and you can throw in letters and symbols if you'd like to represent that. And the last password tip, which we're going to be talking about big time today, is using a password manager. So password manager is where you can store all of the passwords that you create. It actually has a cool feature where if you're logging in for the first time and you have to create a password, they have a password generator where you can select, maybe it's 12, you want this to be 12 characters long. The password manager is going to come up with a random 12-character password for you. You can tell it to use symbols, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, depending on how secure you'd like your password to be. The password manager we use, I think you can make like a 64 or 80 character password where it's huge, long, it's super secure because there's numbers, all kinds of symbols. Makes it really hard to break in. So those are some of the password tips that we wanted to review with you guys. We will be talking about password managers coming up here. The other subject that we're going to touch on is the dark web. So when someone does get your passwords to, let's say, to your email account, what typically happens is they're going to then sell these passwords on the dark web to someone. So this is a bad guy who's going to buy your password. They're going to take your password for your email and they're going to do what's called, I believe it's called a spray attack, where they're going to put this same password into your Facebook, into your bank account. They're going to choose the most popular things that people are using, and they're going to just see if this password works. There, try it here, try it there, try it there. So that's typically, well, that's one of the ways that your password being breached can actually go to the dark web and be sold. So there's someone sitting out there that is going to try to get into your information somehow. So we'll go ahead and actually take that to go into the dark web discussion. Next slide. Oh,
That's all right.
okay, cool.
Missed one.
What is the dark web? Now, unfortunately, no one can be told what the dark web is. You have to see it for yourself. So this is kind of unprecedented. We're actually going to go ahead and access the dark web for everybody and show you what it looks like. It's very, very, very dark in there. So I'm just giving you guys a warning. Oh, it didn't. I
Was it
think it was
supposed to?
one slide back.
This one?
No, the one before it. Oh, dang. It was supposed to be a black screen.
That's what this one is, huh? What are you seeing on
Oh,
your
there you
end?
go. Yeah, I saw the pill. The next slide came up. So, okay, here is a picture of the dark web. Like I said, it's very, very dark. It's that's my joke there. Okay. So next slide. We're going to be discussing the dark web. You know, there's two choices here. You can take the blue pill. The story ends. You can leave the chill session and believe whatever you'd like to believe about the dark web. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and we'll show you how deep the rabbit hole really goes. So I hope you guys all take the red pill so you stay in the discussion. And that's it for my slideshow there. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming out for this. Was hoping David could go into a little more detail on the dark web.
Yeah. So, you know, the dark web is really that part of the internet that is not seen. So that's why it's called the dark web. If you think about the internet as a whole, what we're used to seeing, what we access on in Chrome and Edge, Internet Explorer, all of those browsers that we normally use. that's the tip of the iceberg. So you all know that an iceberg, you see the top of it, but there's this huge chunk underneath, and it's actually bigger underneath. And that's really what's going on the internet as well. There's the tip of the iceberg. That's what we normally see. But then there's all this information, and it's more difficult to access. It's more difficult to see, and because of that, that's where the criminals hang out. There is a ton of criminal activity on the dark web, and that's where when someone's passwords get stolen, when there's a breach at at LinkedIn or somewhere like that, and the passwords get stolen, they go out and they sell them on the dark web. Um, and it's because people can be anonymous, they can be hidden, they can hide in the shadows. So it's really the dark web is that scary part of the internet that's hidden from view.
Thank you for that explanation. So, you know, like you said, that's where the bad guys are going to hang out. So the biggest thing we would love to get to accomplish with this Chill with Jim session is to teach you the best password hygiene. So how to keep your passwords protected, how to use a password manager. We'll go ahead and discuss what password managers are out there and which one might be the best one for you. Before we kick it off here, I just wanted to reach out to the people in the audience and see if they had any questions before we continued our discussion.
No passwords or no questions.
Okay. All right, Carlene, thank you. All right, well, then we'll continue. So this is actually from one of our partners that we partner with. It's they help us with one of their projects, their products that go out and they'll scan the dark web for leaked passwords. That way we know if our clients do have an issue where one of their passwords has been, breached, is being for sale right now. This product actually goes out there and lets us know if anything has leaked to that dark web. So this is from them. It's the 50 worst passwords of 2019. So you might see some of these. They might sound familiar. You might be using some of these. So first thing is, well, I need to make a 6-character password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom, I'm set. The next word is the word password. Very, very, very common. Some people will switch it up, think they're tricking everybody, and they'll put a @ for the letter A, and they'll put a 0 for the letter O. So it's still password, but they're switching it up with some symbols. Still not a good solution. You'll see here too, another one, someone was asked probably, hey, you need to make 5-character password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another one, very common, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Welcome.
Like the Jacksons, right?
Yeah, I think that's the Jacksons.
Jackson 5. Yeah, Jackson 5.
That they were breached because they used this password, and not only their song, but for all their accounts. No, that's not true. Welcome. You'll see a lot of names in here, and this is one I know from being in the tech industry for 10 years now. People use their kids' names, their dogs' names so often. I'd say 50% of the people that I've helped work with work we've done, they have a password that includes their child's name or one that includes their dog's name, somewhere out there. So you'll see a lot of names on here. QWERTY, that's one that's all over the place. I don't understand the origins of that. David, do you know what QWERTY is from?
Yeah, well, it's the top row of the keyboard there. So QWERTY. It's the top row. The other common one is ZAQWSX. So that's going up and down, and I see that one a good bit. And then when people want to get clever, you know, you have to include the numbers. It'll be ZAQ12WSX, just following the keyboard there. And of course, if you have to add the special characters, you just hold the shift key and you follow that same pattern. So you find that people do these patterns, and that's where it starts getting dangerous, because you're not the only one that thought of that pattern. So so the criminals, when they go out and they're writing programs to try to break into things, they're going to use these common passwords and those common patterns in testing, and they can run it's a program, so it runs super fast. You know, they can test 1,000 passwords in a matter of seconds. So that's the concern there, is people using that same pattern over and over again.
Yep. So got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sunshine. Someone used all ones here. I guess baseball is a common one. Again, name after name. Football. So I guess you shouldn't use sports. This is funny. Summer, princess, research, names. Here's some good ones. Test. I have
It's
actually used
interesting.
that one before.
There's peanut on here, but I don't see jelly. So maybe if you did like a peanut and symbol jelly, that would probably be okay.
There you go. And so you can see, maybe this was from Louisiana, because there's a tiger with 2 G's. I don't know why they added 2 G's, but
Tigger, it's Disney.
T-I-double-G-er.
Yeah.
That's probably Tigger.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't work for my Louisiana thing then. So yeah, this is just and it's funny. It's funny, but it's also so common that we get these. You know, I can't tell you the amount of times that we've just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what people use. Like I said, with the test, if I'm setting up something that I really don't care about too much, I have personally used that one before. So yes, if you have a password on this sheet, please stop using it. The next handout we have here, just a password report card. We'll actually send this to everybody, so you can have it on file, use it whenever you want. If you know you have friends or family, business coworkers, you'd like to shoot this over to them. It's just some good rules of thumb. So again, if you're using all numbers or lowercase characters, not a good way to do it. Even if you're using a combination of numbers and lowercase characters at the same time, still not going to be your best solution here. Combination of numbers, upper and lowercase characters. So that's looks like they're including the special cases in there too, the symbol signs. You're gonna get a D if it's 8 characters or less. Long passwords, that kind of gets you a big bump there. You're gonna get a B- if you're using over 8. I think most places are gonna recommend 15 or above for really being getting you to that next level. Let's see. Long passphrase with a stop character, symbol, or number. So again, you're adding a little more complexity there. And then if you're using a password manager, that's going to give you the ability to get an A+. Let me see here. I'm actually going to pull up for me here, use our password generator, and just show you kind of one of the examples of what they're going to do if you ask them to generate a password for you and how secure it can be. So I'm just telling my password manager to go ahead and make a 14-digit password for me. It's going to include numbers, capitals, and symbols. So it gave me lowercase l, semicolon, and sign, 5, up arrow, capital Z, lowercase e, comma, underscore, uppercase L, 5, uppercase G, K, uppercase E. So that's a great password, but how the heck am I going to remember that?
Yeah, pop quiz. We've got a gift card ready for anybody who can repeat that password.
I see Candace came off of
I
mute.
know.
You want to give it a
I'm
try?
just going to say that's where supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is always the answer. And what's my gift card to? I want a cookie.
We can get you a cookie. I think that's cool. So that's an example of the power of this password manager. It'll create these passwords. Now, what I typically do after that is I'll go ahead and add my username, and then you can actually, if it's a website, you can put the website URL in there, which if it sees you go on to a place like LinkedIn, it's actually going to automatically come up as long as you're signed in to your password manager. It'll suggest, hey, you actually have this password on file. Click here to see what it is or to fill in the blanks. So they're a key component to being safe on your computers. Without it, we'd be lost. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I looked recently. We have 350 something or 360 something passwords that are stored in our password manager. So that I got through 315. I remembered them all, but on that 316, I had trouble on number 316.
So can y'all
sure.
explain really quickly and give some additional info on the difference between using a password manager and the Google password save and the pros and the cons of all that? Because I know a lot of people use Google. I used to use Google.
Yeah, the Google stuff, it's very convenient. But one major concern is that Google is in the business of collecting and sharing information. So they'll collect those passwords and then they'll make it available on all of your devices. Their security around passwords is not as great. I don't know the level of encryption that they have around the passwords, but for instance, LastPass and Dashlane and the password manager that we use, Mikey, all of those store the passwords in an encrypted manner. I've gone on people's machines and seen their Chrome, and you just open up the passwords and you see everything. So it's not the most secure, especially if your computer gets accessed by more people, kids or whoever. Just the level of protection that Google puts behind it is not near as much as the level of an actual password manager.
So even like Mikey or one of the other ones, you're an IT provider, so you're going to be on a ton of computers at different clients all the time. If you're on their computer trying to fix something, you have access to everything. So what you're saying is you still don't have access to Mikey or the password manager? Like you can't get into that?
Me personally, from their
Yeah, the
computer,
IT provider. Like
oh
what
yeah,
you're saying is that Google isn't safe from your IT provider. I mean, not everybody wants their IT provider into their computer, their passwords, if
right,
they have a.
right.
So you're saying that something like Mikey or LastPass or something like that protects against even an IT provider too. Like it's.
Yeah, if I'm looking at my Mikey right now. I'll drag it over here. So this is what my Mikey looks like right now. It's asking for my PIN code, or it'll let me log in with my fingerprint as well. And it's because I haven't accessed it here in a little while, and so it locked it. It's closed off. So you have to know that information before you can get in and look at my passwords. Whereas with Google Chrome, you just open up Chrome and you go to the passwords and there it is. And the other thing is Chrome only works in Chrome. So if you are storing your passwords for programs, or if you happen to be working in a different browser, or you're on a different computer using a different browser, that sort of thing, then you don't have access to your passwords anymore. Most of the top-notch password managers, they have the version you install on your computer, and they have a phone version as well, and they can synchronize together. The other thing is if you're working with a team of people and you need to be able to share passwords, Google doesn't do that at all. So we always recommend that people get some sort of password manager, even if it's just for themselves. But if you're part of an organization, you need to step it up to a team version of a password manager, something like Mikey that we offer, or LastPass has a version for teams as well. And that way you can share passwords. You can create groups so that maybe everybody in marketing has the passwords they need to get into the social media accounts, or people that are in the financial department have the information for the banks, but the marketing people don't have access to the bank account information, and you can really section it off and protect your information.
So you have said Mikey a couple times, and how, that's what Strix uses. Can someone use that information? Like if you're saying and broadcasting what you use as your password provider.
Meaning, can they use that against me because they know I use Mikey?
Yeah.
Not really. No. One of the reasons that we chose Mikey and how it separates from the other password managers is that the Mikey data is only stored on your devices. It's not stored in the cloud. You can set it up so that it will synchronize between the two, but LastPass, all of that information is actually stored in the cloud. So there's a little bit more of an opportunity for LastPass to get hacked if someone figures it out. And if they know you use LastPass, then okay, maybe they target you specifically. So yeah, it's not like your security systems on your house where you put that sign out that says you use ADT security. Well, now the criminals know exactly what your security system is, and they know the defaults for turning off your security system and how to bypass your security system. It's not like that. Someone knowing that we use Mikey, really, it just, okay, that doesn't help them at all.
But for another provider, it could be detrimental then.
For some others, most
they're not
of your,
as protected.
Yeah, most of your top ones, it's not going to help you a whole lot to know, but yeah.
It's funny that you bring up the alarm thing, because after I found out that having your sign in your yard for your alarm company is basically broadcasting to the bad guy, my sister and I decided to swap signs. So that's just an idea for anybody out there. We have opposite companies. We're going to swap, throw them off.
Yeah, get one for each of the companies and put them there.
I feel like all of them out there.
The other point and what you asked about, Candace, I think this is a good thing to bring up. But with Mikey, like if we were to set it up for Hancock Whitney, where they have a team Mikey account, we can section it off, like you said, where maybe marketing has this, the salespeople have access to this, account managers have access to this. But with each person's Mikey, they will get a personal Mikey where it is, so it's not accessible by the team or by the IT provider, or by, like, if it was Hancock Whitney, they're not going to be able to access your personal accounts. So even for Strix, we use Mikey. I have the one that we share passwords with each other on, and then I have my personal side of things where I can put, the things that maybe I don't want to share with David, like my personal Gmail account. There's no reason that Strix really needs to have access to that. So what's cool about that is I get, not only am I getting it for the team, but I'm able to use it for myself for the things I use daily, my Facebook account, yeah, things like that. I don't have to remember those passwords now because I have a personal section of the password manager.
Yeah, and just expounding on the capabilities of Mikey, of LastPass does this as well. Many of them will let you store other sensitive information. So we actually store some credit card numbers in our Mikey, and that makes it so I don't necessarily have to give Jim a physical credit card, because there's one that I've shared, that is the company credit card. And so if I say, hey, go buy something on Amazon, the credit card's in Mikey, he can pull it up. But again, there's the personal side too. So I have personal credit card information in there, and that's been, I love having that feature, because you'll go buy something and Mikey will pop up, and you can click the button and it will pre-fill those 16 digits of the credit card number. That it makes spending money a whole lot easier.
I don't know if I want it anymore then.
There's the non-business side too. Like I always think of it from a family perspective as well. Like you, heaven forbid anything ever happened to your spouse or a loved one or whatever, who right now on this call can say you have the credit card number for everything for your spouse, their passwords to everything, bank account, everything. David and I own a company together. That's a lot of passwords, just alone with the business, not including the family. So business aside, it's awesome to keep track of things as a family,
That's a fantastic point, Candace. This for emergencies, for the unforeseens that happen in this world. I've worked with clients before where their loved one has passed away, or something happens where they're locked out of their financials now. They have no way of getting into their bank accounts. They have no way of getting into their emails. So, what happens with your bank? Oh, I forgot my password. I don't know my password. So what do? They email it to you. Oh, I can't get into my email account. So let me try to reset my email password. Well, and then this is actually, I've had 4 or 5 of these happen where I've helped people with this. So then that email account asks you, okay, well, we're going to send your new password to another email account. Well, guess what? They don't have the information for that email account either. So it's just this crazy circle that you'll get stuck in, where you're handcuffed. You cannot access your information, and it's stuff you've shared as a family, as a husband and wife, or even business partners, things like that, where this is a great disaster. If a disaster happens, this can keep you out of being stuck, being in trouble. Any questions out there?
So y'all have mentioned LastPass and Mikey, and I know those are, I guess, the two that seem to be the safest. Are there any other ones that y'all suggest?
Yeah, there's some others out there. Dashlane is another one that I've seen used, and typically gets good reviews out there. 1Password is one, and I think 1Password may only work for Macs. I think it's that one. So if you have the Apple environment, that may work, but it may not, unless they've expanded it. I haven't looked at it in a little while, so they may have expanded it since then. But those are a couple of others that are typically high rated.
I use 1Password.
Yeah, is that?
And I don't have Mac.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have Mac, and I've used 1Password for many years.
Okay. I may be thinking of another one. I know there was one. It was, I think, basically built into the Mac OS. And, and somebody recommended it one time, and I looked into it and was like, oh, well, we can't use that. We don't use Macs. So.
Carlene, is that something you pay like a subscription on?
Yes, I do. I think it's only like 30 something a year or something.
Okay.
It's not that much. I initially signed up I was using the free version. And then I did start using the pay version. I do have some credit cards in there. And then I have 2 different vaults, one for my personal stuff and then one for my travel stuff.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. And if you think about that, like $30 to keep all your stuff safe a year.
To get an A+.
To get an A+ on your report card.
That is.
I mean, it took way more than that for me to pay my teachers for just a B-. I mean,
Right.
So are we going to do a follow-up like next week if somebody goes and gets
Sure.
their A+, we get cookies then.
oh, here you go again. You want these cookies.
Just saying.
And what do we get if we get the A+ right off the bat? We should get something special for that, right?
Carlene already has the A+, so she.
Right?
Cupcakes. It's all about the food.
I guess so. Well, I'll go ahead and give out a certificate where you have safe passwords. So, and that's a verbal certificate I just gave you as an award. It's actually a gold standard, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a star on it right now, and a happy face.
And a happy face.
So, oh, did we have someone else? We had some.
Yeah. We had some other my participants window dropped off there, and I forgot to check back. So Ramona, my apologies. And Krishanda Nelson.
Ramona, did you have any questions while we got you on here?
Not at this time. I use LastPass and I really enjoy using it. My husband has his own account, plus his company has their account, and we've been thoroughly pleased with LastPass.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier and at least helps you feel safer out there, right?
It does, and one of the things you've helped me to realize I need to do is, at one time I was using the same password for everything because it was easy for me to remember, but it's now to go back through LastPass and let it generate the password for those accounts.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to use an algorithm. So my trick for passwords was to use an algorithm that's based on the website or whatever it is that I'm logging into, and the date, and a couple of variables that I would know, and I know the translation for that. But even those got difficult to remember.
And not easy for anyone else, like your wife, to remember.
Right. Especially for those passwords that you don't use very often. If you forget one key piece that builds that password, then you have to go and look for it and find it. And I used to waste a lot of time going and trying to remember what my password is based on an algorithm that was supposed to make it easy for me to remember.
Yeah, so Mikey has made getting into Netflix way easier in our family because I don't have to track David down and figure out the algorithm of what month it was that he signed up for the account.
Yeah, it does if you don't like people using your account, your Netflix, your HBO, that kind of stuff, when you send them a 33-character password with special characters and everything else, a lot of times they just give up. They'll go look for somebody else's Netflix account to use, and you don't end up getting locked out of your Netflix.
That's so great. Instead of saying no, you just send them that, and then they say no on their own.
That's what he does to our oldest one. Yeah. She has her own family and all, and she still likes to use our account.
That's awesome. And that actually, that for some reason that triggered some information too. A lot of people will keep their passwords on a spreadsheet. So even if they do have a password manager, they'll kind of buddy it up. So, oh, hey, if anything ever happens to me, David, there's a spreadsheet on my computer called Things You Need to Know. And if anything ever happens, just go in there and you'll have, the information you want. So this is a big no-no. There's ways for hackers, for bad guys, to just simply search your computer for a database like this. We actually had a cybersecurity specialist we did a talk with, I think it was last year, maybe year and a half ago, Brandon, who, he showed us straight up on Google where you can search for these Excel spreadsheets that maybe include like a PW or some common phrases that people label their passwords with, and it'll just pull them right up. Just pull them right up. So
yeah, and you find those just that's on Google because another thing. Well, I want my password spreadsheet available anywhere I go, so I'm going to put it in Google Drive, or I'm going to put it in Dropbox or something like that. And at some point you accidentally, or maybe you do it on purpose and you forget, you make that folder public, and then Google starts indexing it, and before you know it, all of your passwords are out there. So
yeah.
The other thing that we've run into is with a lot of clients, they'll have a piece of paper. Sometimes it's a book of all of the passwords. And we've run into it where something happened to that book. Number one, do you always have it secure? Do you always have it locked away? If not, someone else picks it up, and the cleaning person comes in, and maybe they think it's trash, they throw it away, or maybe they think it's passwords and they can make a buck off of it. So that's another thing. We see a whole lot of it, but using this password manager is just a much safer approach. And like Carlene mentioned, it's not very expensive. The price you pay for a good password manager is nothing compared to the price of your passwords being exposed and someone getting into your bank account and wiring money to their own account.
Yep. Totally agree.
All right.
There's one more thing I was hoping to talk about. Oh, well, and just on the password managers as well, I think, doesn't Mikey have a free version right now?
Yeah. Their personal version is free, and Mikey, that's MYKI. So if you are not using a password manager and you want something, MYKI is Mikey, that you can just go on their site, download it, and then if you want to expand it for your team, then that's when they'll start charging you for it. But it's fully functional for an individual for free. So
yeah, and again, this is a great tool if you have a large workforce, maybe a remote workforce, to offer this to everybody in your workforce. But this will stop them from emailing each other passwords for things. It's not secure to email a password. It's again one of those things you don't want to do. It creates a footprint. So if anybody gets into your email, one of the things we've seen is, with one of our clients that was just emailing everybody's password out to them, creates a footprint. So now if I breach your email account, I search for the word password, and here's 5 years of the passwords I've sent out to other people. These were student passwords, actually. So they were setting up students for these some of their software, and they'd email them the password they needed to get in. And so if I were to search their history in their Office 365, I had access to 500 passwords. So again, another way to be safe is to make sure you're not emailing. You know, we've found if it's an absolute necessity, probably the best way to do it is a phone call. A phone call will, there's no trace of it. It's not going to, you know, be around forever. So typically, if we don't have an immediate option to get someone their password, we instruct them to call us directly, so we can give it to them. We don't like to text. We don't like to email.
There is a web service we've begun using now called One Time Secret. It's onetimesecret.com, and that's a pretty good way to share passwords or any kind of sensitive information. What it does is you go to onetimesecret.com, you have a text box, you enter the password or whatever information, and it generates a link, and that link can only be used once. So you immediately you copy the link, you send it to the person that needs it, they open it, they have access to it quickly to do what they need to with it, and then that link is gone, the information's gone. No one else is going to get into it. So that's another tool that we have used, because sometimes it's you're not in a position to get the other person on the phone right then. So we'll send them a link with that information and share it that way.
Good point. So I'd like to open it up for any questions, comments, concerns. You know,
even if it's not passwords or dark web, if there's anything else that you run into that you just have a question about. All right.
Well, cool. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. This has been a great Chill with Jim session. We really appreciate your support, showing up and showing interest. We're trying to bring our superhero powers to others throughout this community, so they don't have to be our clients. So if you have anyone else that would like to join us, please go ahead and send them an invite. Just send them the cool flyer with me in my pajamas and my suit top. It'll have the link on there. We are having next week, this coming Wednesday, the 13th, we're having a special Chill with Jim session. This is the first time we're going to do it, that we've done it. I mean, so we're going to have panelists, specialists come in and help with this discussion. This discussion is going to be about cyber insurance. So there's always going to be a possibility of a data breach. Unfortunately, no matter how many locks and secure walls and blockades you put into place, unfortunately, it still happens where your data might get leaked. You know, we've seen it kind of common with bigger, larger companies with a cloud service. So Capital One had a big leak. The U.S. government actually had a big data breach. So even if you yourself personally are taking all the best in your company, are taking all the best steps to keep everything protected, there's a possibility maybe Microsoft itself gets hacked, and now your information's out there. Your client's information is out there. The price of remediation for a data breach, if it is brought back in to your company being the one that the data was leaked, is extremely expensive. In most cases, you're going to be liable for that information being leaked, which leaves you open to being sued. You know, for people attacking your company for the fact that this information was leaked out there. We're gonna talk about some of the common policies, give a general understanding of what's included with a cyber insurance policy, and how it will protect you. So this is a big one for any business owners, really. So please invite all of the business owners that you have in your network to come on out. Lori, I was actually going to call you to personally invite and see if maybe you or someone from Hancock Whitney wanted to join us. They might already have something in place, but if not, this is a great learning opportunity to see what's out there. We'll have three different insurance companies to come on and talk about what's offered and just kind of how they work. So please come and join us.
All right, thank you, everybody. And Ramona, to answer your question real quick, you're talking about using email me forms to gather credit card information, et cetera. Yeah, I'm kind of new to email me forms, but I've learned more about it here in the last couple of weeks, and it seems to be a great product. So they have built their product around security and protecting information. So yeah, I would certainly say continue to use email me form in your travel business.
Awesome, and thank you, Lori. I just read your message. I saw you got unmuted. If you did want to talk, we still got a few more minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know if you'll send me that information. I don't know how much expertise I would have, but I may be able to find someone to help out. So if you'll just send me some information, that'd be great.
Okay.
And I appreciate the invite to this call. It's been helpful. Thank y'all.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone. Well, be safe out there. Hopefully, we'll see things that kind of go back to what they were a few months ago. Maybe we'll be able to work at the office coming up soon here. So, but thank you for joining me. Please reach out to support@strixla.com if you have any questions about anything. We'll help you out in whatever way we can. And we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Jim, if we
Yeah.
do go into the office, you're going to need to wear pants.
Just to confirm.
Pajama pants. They have pants
To have the
in
word
the name.
pants. Yeah.
Hey, it's good enough for Walmart, right? When you go
That's
into Walmart.
true. Now he's gonna start wearing slippers, Carlene. Jesus.
All
All right,
There's
right.
no
I
butt
guess-
flap pajamas, okay?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll leave those ones at home.
Yeah, leave those at home.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Y'all
Have a
take
great day.
Bye. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, Carlene, for joining us.